Good afternoon, officially. It is 12:02 p.m., and we are about to have a good time. Hello to everybody in the chat. I think we only have one person that's hanging out with us so far. We got Raiden Radio hanging out with us since about 11:31 a.m. Hopefully he's still around. We absolutely have one person watching. Who knows who it is? But yeah, so today we are going to be talking about something pretty interesting. Before we go into that, just as a reminder, everybody, the Embrace 2 is in demand. We crossed 10K at the closeout, which was awesome. Thanks to everybody that came out and supported us on our closeout stream with Dean James. That Tuesday night, we went pretty late and went pretty hard. It was a good time. Additionally, we have the sign-up page for Elysian Fields Reborn, both of which have links in the description of this video below. So be sure that if you haven't backed the Embrace 2 yet, you do that. And if you haven't signed up for the Kickstarter of Elysian Fields Reborn, you do that as well. It's free to do the latter. And if you want to take a look at a preview of Elysian Fields Reborn, we actually have that available on the Embrace 2 for $10, no additional shipping for domestic backers. Anyways, moving on to what the real reason for why we are here is the fact that a couple months ago, it was announced that there was this fan-made studio called Studio Eclypse, and their entire reason for creation was these were like a group of a couple hundred animators, musicians, voice artists, and everything like that love Berserk and have been underwhelmed, we could say, with the attempts to adapt the source material so far. For those who don't know, Berserk is a dark fantasy manga series done by the late Kentar Miura that started back in the late 80s and has gone through to this day. And even after his death, both his closest friend and his artistic disciples have continued the work to make sure that the Berserk fans get the ending that Miura was planning in a way that really honors and respects his memory, which is great. But Berserk has had a tumultuous history of anime adaptations. Probably the best one was done in the late 90s, 1997, 2D animation. But at this point in time, anime was kind of in that kind of breakthrough phase over here. And Berserk was a very niche, very dark title. And so I don't think that there was a lot of confidence in how risque the material of Berserk was in terms of how it would be appreciated over in the Western audience, because it deals with a lot of, very serious concepts, like themes like, sexual trauma and absurd amounts of violence. And it was the 97 one did have a lot of things toned down, and there were straight up portions of it that were completely removed. And back in, I want to say 2013, 2014, Netflix co-produced a hybrid 2D, 3D animated series of movies called the Golden Age Saga that were up on Netflix for the longest time. That were pretty solid, but again, it was an adaptation specifically of the Golden Age, which is this kind of prequel storyline that comes in a solid 100 to 200 chapters. No, a solid 100 chapters in to the Berserk story. So there was this whole thing of, again, they brushed over a lot of the more risque things that happened in Golden Age and cut out a lot of stuff. And so people still weren't particularly happy. And on top of that, the 3D animated bits were a little bit jarring. And so this did revitalize a lot of interest in the old 90s anime. But it did bring in a new set of people to Berserk. I know that's actually where I got introduced to the concept. That a buddy of mine showed me the 3 movies, and I loved them. And I went and I read the book and was completely blown away. Then in 2016, they did an all 3D animated Berserk show. I mean, I guess there are some 2D hand-drawn portions of it, namely the opener, and then there are like a couple of scenes here or there, but like for the most part it's 3D animated. And it was just the ugliest thing you've ever seen. It was an adaptation of everything that happens. They literally just threw a bunch of stuff together. It kind of starts off with the very opening of Black Swordsman and then jumps into the conviction arc and then adapts Falcon of the Millennium Empire. We got 2 seasons of this show, one in 2016, one in 2018. And it was dismal. The response to it was bad. The animation was constantly pointed out for its ugliness. And here, you know what? I'll show. Hold on, we're gonna stop this screen for a sec and present. So like, this is a better picture of how it looked in the 2016, 2018 one. There's like a really infamous one that I used for the thumbnail of this video, but it was so small. But like the armor here looks pretty solid, but you look at, you know, Guts's face and it looks like Play-Doh. And they tried to do this thing with the cell shade to try and emulate Miura's very sketch-like style that he has in the manga, and it just doesn't work. Which brings us to today's topic. So, Studio Eclypse, as I said, it was their mission as fans to animate a faithful representation of Berserk. They announced from the beginning that they were not affiliated with Studio Gaga, who has the film rights, the screen rights and everything of Berserk. They're the owner of the IP. They're the IP holders. So they were very clear about that from the get-go. It was a completely non-profit organization, which we are going to touch on here in a minute because there are some misconceptions of what makes a non-profit and how that works. So they announced that they were going to be adapting the series from the start of Black Swordsman all the way through to its current chapters. This was going to be their mission as fans. And they gained a lot of momentum, and it's not hard to understand why. But on the off chance that you are in this chat or watching the replay and haven't already seen this, and I don't think that this will get me copyright struck because I think it's under fair use. But we're going to play the Studio Eclypse trailer here. We're going to do the dubbed version because A, they touched up some of the animation from the original trailer going into this one, but B, the voice actor for Guts in here is just exceptional. So I'm hoping that this won't get me copyright struck. I'm fairly certain that with it not being officially copywritten material and you know, this being a completely original project by Studio Eclypse, I should be good. But on the off chance that it is, I guess I'll find out after this stream is over because it's not going to tell me on my end until after. So let's give this a shot. Hopefully we can do this, but here we go.
In this world.
So real quick, Black Swordsman is a passion project created with our utmost respect to the original author by fans all over the world. All the characters and canon materials used in this fan animation are property of Kentar, Miura, Studio Gaga, and Hakusensha. Please support the official release of Berserk. Now, what I will say is this. Oh, please support the official releases of Berserk. So, like, they're even stating that, like, you know, hey, if they do official releases of Berserk, this is in no way meant to devalue them or anything like that. So, like, already from the bat, we have a lot of respect shown by these creators. So,
in this world, is the destiny of mankind controlled by some transcendental entity or law? Is it like the hand of God, hovering above? At least it is true
So that's obvious, like an Easter egg. If you've ever watched any of the 97 Berserk anime, or if you've read the book or what have you, this is a nice callback to how the series would open in the anime. And then it's also a very famous panel from the early books.
That man has no control, even over his own will.
That stockpile of weapons, it belongs to this man?
Yes, my lord. Enough to start the Civil War all on his own. Crazy.
So like the voice acting in this part, obviously it does definitely have like an amateurish vibe to it, but when you look at the animation quality here, like this is really good stuff. Like, could they and like if they had a bigger budget, if they had more animators or what have you, you can just imagine what they would be able to accomplish.
Bastard.
So, the Black Swordsman has come, you say?
So this is a character that has been completely omitted from every single adaptation. This is the Slug Baron. Very excited to see him here. Like, there's so many things that are presented in this trailer that are like, oh man, it just makes you realize just all the missed opportunities.
My lord, what should we do?
He wields an enormous blade standing taller than himself and fights with a repeating crossbow. He slaughtered the castle guards within mere seconds. This is my fight! Like flesh and blood like me! They're all dead. Dead like rotten worms. Because I fought with the dead. Because I was sacrificed in that sea of blood. So that
Dude, the Guts voice actor crushes this, and like I am pausing this every couple of seconds because I want to make sure I don't get that I don't get struck. We'll see how that ends up going. Gonna check something real quick. Okay. So, all right.
you could stand above all humankind!
Yes.
So good.
Yes. Guts. 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 Guts.
I don't remember there being a scene like this in the book. This is fantastic. There very well could have been. I'll have to go do a reread at some point here soon. But like the imagery of like him asleep and looking over and seeing Casca, and then he wakes up. He wakes up in it, and Casca's actually Dragon Slayer, his sword. That's so freaking cool. Like, what a great way to do, like, kind of make it be that like Casca is his, like, in a way is the thing that is keeping him alive, just like Dragon Slayer is the thing that's keeping him alive. It's beautiful imagery. Radiant Radio says gripping the trap is yes. The other thing that's really cool here is that you can hear that the soundtrack is original, but it pays homage to a lot of the beautiful soundtrack work that's been done before. One of the good things about all of the Berserk adaptations that like no matter what is their soundtrack, like even in the 2016-2018 soundtrack, everything was done by Susumu Hirasawa, who did the soundtrack from the first series in '97, and it's just incredible. So like there's definitely a lot of homage to his work in this soundtrack, and while still maintaining its own originality. So, and there's Puck. There's Griffith. No. Yeah, so good. Very happy with how that looks as a big fan. They've got a very they have a very solid team. Like, this is really good. And so one of the key people that's involved with this is Matthew Raymer. He actually did a so Arrogant Ape is like, I'll give these Gaga guys one thing. They got guts, I tell you. Well, so sorry, I don't know what that was. Anyways, so Arrogant Ape says, I'll give these Gaga guys one thing. They got guts, I tell you. Still get chills from this. So I don't even think that it's a got guts thing. So the Studio Gaga are the people that own the current IP of the current IP holders for Berserk. I mean, they've always been, but like, point is that's who is responsible for it. And so that brings us why we're here today is Studio Gaga has issued a statement that effectively, we're going to bring it up here because I think that there's a lot of misconceptions about this. To our readers, the production of a Berserk animation has been announced on the following X account, x.com/Studio Eclypse, and website studioeclypse.com. But such production has not been authorized by Miura Kentaro, Studio Gaga, the copyright holder. In addition, the videos accompanying the announcement are being displayed without permission. So they are effectively coming at this from a standpoint of there's been a lot. Obviously, there's been a massively positive fan response to this. And I am sure that there have been idiots who have been like, oh, do you guys have any connection with this? Even though it is very clearly stated in this video that they have no tie with Studio Gaga, and this work is a complete passion project, and it in no way should detract people from supporting Berserk from the original IP holder. So they've probably been put in this position where they're making this statement. Now, what I will say is it does come off as a bit petty, because there have been a lot of people that are stating that they are looking to pursue a cease and desist. I do not see that among any of the posts that I have read so far. And point of fact, Studio Eclypse actually did respond to this, not in their official account, but I became a paid member of their Patreon to see if they had any posts about it on there, and they had a response to their most recent post in the past 13 hours asking if it was canceled, and they gave their response. So it's an unofficial one, but regardless, I think what this ultimately comes down to is they took this as their initial stance, and effectively this kind of derailed what the plan of intent was on release of this, was to release this as a fan film, but to do so with the official authorization, and they were waiting till they had a more complete product. But before we go into that, so when it comes down to fan films, it's actually a very big gray area. In fact, there has been a lot of legal push in recent years to give fan films more rights in the eyes of the law. And there are a lot of courts that are effectively citing that these fan films are effectively doing artistic art, so long as they are effectively nonprofit, which does not mean that they are not making profit. It means that any and all subsidized income that is coming in is through grants and donations from customers, or from like a community rather, and is then being invested directly into whatever projects they are working on. So Studio Eclypse has a Patreon that they do. Every single person that donates to that, all of those people are effectively a community support, and this would qualify Studio Eclypse as a nonprofit. They do not have a distribution plan that would get them that would bring in an excess of revenue to pay out. The only money that they are all the money that they are taking is going to pay their animators, pay their voice actors, pay the musicians and composers. That's what's going on. So this is where the Berserk animation from Studio Eclypse actually has a very big leg to stand on here, because yes, they are trying to do a faithful adaptation of Kentaro Miura's Berserk, but even though that they are taking trying to adapt pages into animation, the fact of the matter is, the moment that you take a still image and add movement to it and animate it so that it no longer is still frame sequences of events, but there is full-on motion, that transcends the original art form to a new one and creates interpretation of the original art, which would be under fair use. So they actually have a very competent leg to stand on. Now, Japan has been very, very, very strict on its copyright material, has been for years. I think everyone can remember, it was about a decade ago, where Shueisha issued a statement about effectively decrying any and all fan art that was being sold at conventions of specifically Dragon Ball Z characters, which was insane. The fact that you're coming after your fans for doing art like this is just ridiculous. The amount of people whose portfolios were built off of fan art pieces of Goku, Vegeta, etc., is just ridiculous. So this statement from Berserk Projects, which is the official Berserk account, effectively states only that this specific adaptation is not officially licensed and has not been given a seal of approval, which brings us to Studio Eclypse's response. While unofficial, we have here. So earlier today, they posted up a image from one of their animators that had drawn a really beautiful Guts piece. And so somebody comment, isn't the anime canceled anyways? I saw the official Berserk account making a statement and saying it wasn't authorized and there's copyright issues. And so Studio Eclypse responded with, fan projects have been taken down by companies in certain situations, but not here. The statement was making clear that the project is completely unrelated to them and not licensed yet. We're trying to sort things out with the publishers as soon as it's possible and realistic for the situation, since our original plan was to do it when episode 1 was ready. That way they could see the quality we're trying to achieve and have higher chances to get the approval. So effectively, what this means is that it was always their intent to put this out there and get the approval from Studio Gaga and everybody over there in Japan. They were trying to wait until the episode was fully ready, which makes sense. I completely understand that. They've still got like a whole other year on their timeline. Like it's September 2024. It literally says summer of 2025, which could range anywhere between June through August, right? Like it's very much a thing of there is so much time left for them. They're working their butts off to make sure that they have the most professional product possible, so that way they can show it to these guys by, look, this is what we're doing. It's a completely studio has nothing on radio, Gaga. Fair enough. What's up, Hojo? Thanks for joining us. But so what it comes down to is ultimately, I think that this thing has kind of been blown out of proportion. Is my take. I know I made like the joke thumbnail with Eustace Bagg doing the ooga booga booga to encourage the cowardly dog, and I put the 2016 infamous guts face, and then the put the Studio Eclypse guts on courage. Like, but the fact of the matter is that it really just seems like Studio Gaga made a statement effectively stating, hey, this isn't officially licensed by us, and we never gave it the permissions to be licensed by us, so we don't have anything to do with it. Very neutral stance that people are taking as, oh my God, they're going to come after it. Because I've seen some articles where it's like, oh, they're threatening, cease and desist. But I don't see that on their social media page. Like when I scroll down, like the only thing, yeah, like the only thing that it says is, like, I'm even translating the original Japanese post using the AI widget that's here. The animation of Berserk is produced by the following X account, Studio Eclypse at x.com, and on the website studioeclypse.com. No permission has been given by the copyright holder, Kentar Miura. Additionally, the footage used is unlicensed. So there is literally no mention of them pursuing legal action and issuing a cease and desist. They are literally just stating, hey, we don't have anything to do with this, and it wasn't given approval before they released this first trailer. And I think that it would definitely benefit, like, I know that they have responded on the Patreon, but I do think that it would benefit Studio Eclypse by making an official statement being like, look, we understand everybody's concern. Yes, our fan anime is still happening. We are actively in talks with Studio Gaga at this point. We were hoping to do this closer to when we had episode 1 finished, but given the recent reactions to their official statement, we have expedited it. Like, I think that's probably the right call here. I think the majority of this stuff just comes down to the moment anything happens on the internet, somebody is going to take it completely and wildly out of proportion. So for any of those people who are worried about the fan animation project being canceled, don't. It seems like Studio Eclypse is still very much intending on finishing this project and will continue to do so. They're relying on a completely free distribution model of, I think Patreon members will get early access, but everybody else will have access to it for free on YouTube. There is no profit share. Like, there is no profit strategy. This is straight up a passion project. Any and all money that's being brought in through the Patreon is being used to pay for production, whether that's paying their animation team, because there's at least a dozen animators there, whether that's paying your voice actors, because they don't just have, I always showed the English dub cast, they have a Japanese subtitled one too. They have both. So you have Japanese subbed and English dubbed. You have 2 sets of voice actors, both very, very professionally done. The English voice cast, there were a few like minor characters or their line delivery was kind of meh. But like I could give a rat's ass about what random guard A sounds like. Guts, like the voice actor they have for Guts is exceptional, and I cannot wait to see who they have for Griffith. I will never forgive I will never forgive Studio Gaga's adaptation, like the 2016-2018 adaptation, for wasting the voice actor for Neji in Naruto. He was the voice actor for Griffith and was fantastic. And it got completely wasted because that series was dog shit. Katie has joined us in the chat. Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you for hanging out. But yeah, so, you know, there's not really that much to talk about outside of that. Like, you know, I do think that this all just comes down to people blowing something out of proportion before they actually know all the facts, which is why I decided to do this stream, because I went through and I was reading everything and it was like, here we go again. People are throwing temper tantrums about stuff that they don't really know about. No, the Studio Eclypse fan animation of Berserk is not being canceled, at least not yet. They have no intentions on canceling it. The Studio Gaga statement does not allude to any sort of legal action being taken against them. It merely states that this is not attached to Studio Gaga at all and did not receive the prior permissions from Studio Gaga to be licensed, and so it is not a licensed project. Those are the only two things that we have at this point in time. There is no reason to freak out. So they're like people just need to chill out and see how things play out. It does seem like Studio Eclypse is aware of the situation and is taking proactive measures to ensure that they can get the proper permissions, because like these guys' work has been blowing up over social media for the past couple of months. It was only a matter of time before this happened where there was like a, hey, like, when were you going to get permission from us? And I do think that there was a large possibility that they tried to reach out previously and had heard nothing. And so now it's just a matter of having the two people sit down at a table and work this out. That being said, really... Katie says, people freaking out over hypothetical points of view? Never. I mean, yes, that's actively what's happening here. Oh, it's not even really like hypothetical points of view. It's literally Studio Gaga releases a statement that states, "Hey, these guys aren't official. They do not own the copyright. All of this material is they didn't get permission to do," and everything like that. That's all it says. It doesn't say, hey, we're going to take legal action. It doesn't say it. It's a very neutral post. It is just straight up, this is the way that we see this. Studio Eclypse then responded to a fan comment asking if it was canceled. It said no, and that they're working with Studio Gaga to get the permissions. They were hoping to do it closer to when episode 1 was finished, but now things have kind of been expedited due to this statement. So that's all that's going on. Hopefully that pans out. I think that it will. Fan films are a very big thing nowadays. There's a lot of legal protections for them under fair use, and the fact that it's very clear that this is a non-profit organization. The only money that's coming in is being directly funneled into the project. It's not like any of this money is going to a single individual to benefit a single person. No, it is there to subsidize the project and maintain the project, ergo nonprofit. So like I don't think that they will have any issues with it. I think that the biggest issue to overcome is, why didn't you come to us sooner? And who knows? Maybe they tried to do that. Maybe this was it was an oversight, or they did say that they were planning on waiting until they had episode 1 closer to completion. But with the way some of these animators' personal YouTube channels have blown up from doing Berserk and fan animation content, you would think that this is something that they would want to prioritize. Either way, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't appear to be that the Berserk fan animation project is being canceled. People need to chill the hell out. But with that being said, before we roll on, now this is a short stream, but like literally it's a small topic. We're not gonna harp too much on anything. I think everything that's needed to be said has been said. But before we go, I'm just gonna bring up the two things to look out for. So obviously right now we're in demand on the Embrace 2 over at Indiegogo. We are at 10,236 with 140 backers. Like this is the second chapter of our story, The Embrace, which received a lot of positive response over back in 2021 when the first book was released. We are very excited to get the second book out to you. Dean's art has greatly improved since book one. My writing has greatly improved since book one. And as great as that first issue is, we were very excited to get this one out to you. Every single stretch goal has been unlocked at this point outside of the Bancroft cover, and we are very close to getting that as well. Only less than $1,800 till we hit that 12K stretch goal. This campaign will be in demand for a couple more weeks while I put together the Fund My Comic. Another thing to look at here is we do have the preview book for Elysian Fields Reborn available on here for $10. And if you're in the United States, there is no additional shipping charge. That $10 has it included in there. If you are international, I believe it's an additional $8, just because international shipping is ridiculously expensive. But these books, this preview is actually done and will ship out ahead of everything else. Once we close out the in demand, I will get this number over to the printer and we will print them out and send out the first batch of these previews. So be on the lookout for that. And with that being said, the other campaign is obviously, we just talked about its preview, but here we have Elysian Fields Reborn over on Kickstarter. You can sign up now. We are looking at launching in March of next year, on the 5th year anniversary of issue 0. This right now we have 19 followers, so going strong. Want to try and get us over 100 followers by the time that we launch, because I think that'd be awesome. But this is a complete reimagining of my initial series that I did in comics. I have taken everything that I've learned in the past going on 5 years now of independent comic experience. I'm taking everything that I've learned and making the best book I possibly can. Completely restructured the script of the first book. It's been expanded from, like, I think the issue 0 was a little over 20 pages of story. The new script for Elysian Fields Reborn is 44 pages. And we're in a new 8.5 by 11 prestige format and have a brilliant new art team with Wilwar Reyes is doing our pencil art. We have Tiago Gomez is doing our ink work, and this guy Ruvian is doing our colors. They're tremendous together. It's one of the most impressive teams that I have worked with. It's really a joy to see them bring this to life. Very excited to see more, to get this book out to you guys. And if you backed the preview, you're gonna freak out. We also have some really exciting variant cover artists that we've brought in, and we'll be doing a reveal of that here soon. I'm waiting till I get the last one of them colored, and then I will send that. Then I will have an announcement thing where we go through and talk about each of the variants. But that being said, we are at 41 minutes and 36 seconds. Be sure that you sign up for Elysian Fields. Back the Embrace 2 if you haven't already. If you miss out on the Indiegogo, don't worry. We'll be on Fund My Comic, and we will also be on Kickstarter. Each one of those will have its own kind of exclusive cover as well. So lots of things to Arrogant Ape, call it Elysian Fields Weeb Born to make Mo's day. You're lucky he's not. I mean, you have a wrench. Maybe you'd be safe. I wonder where he's at. He's usually here for these afternoon shows. But I mean, it's Monday. Even Mo's have things to do, I'm sure. But that being said, thank you guys so much for coming to hang out. It's a little under an hour, but I had a blast nonetheless. We will be resuming When in Rome here soon. There's actually a lot of stuff to talk about. Tons of good ancient Roman content coming through, especially as we wind our way up to Gladiator, and you have everybody Gladiator 2, and everybody's pretending like they've been a Roman historian their entire lives, because that's how pop culture works. Is I'm sure we'll be getting all sorts of stupid articles coming up, but at the moment there's actually some pretty cool things to talk about. Arrogant Ape, arrogant executive producer, says you're never safe from Mo. He will find out. I'm sure he will. And if he's watching in the replay, I mean, maybe that's why he's not here. It's like, it's a Berserk stream. I'm not going to go entertain his weebery. That very well could be the reason. I'm trying to say his name enough times just so that if he shows up in the chat, I can end the stream on him joining. I think that'd be funny. Pull what we did on Corey Barton on him. That'd be great. But anyways, thanks so much for joining everybody here today. If you missed the first part of the stream, please feel free to go and watch from the start. This is a really interesting topic. I was actually made aware of it this morning by Dean, because he's like, you know that the Berserk fan animation has been canceled. I was like, bullshit. And I went and I looked at their social media, and I was like, there's nothing on here. And he sent me some articles, and I read it, and I was like, this better not be freaking true. And turns out that I was right. It's not true. It does not appear to be true at all. I think these industry reporters are sensationalizing the news and blowing it way out of proportion to get clicks and likes. So hope everyone enjoyed here today. Thank you so much, and we're gonna go out in the best way that we can.
Pizza. Pizza, 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 pizza.